Welcome to the 118th AirHacks TV, and shortly before the show, I got the idea to cover the 2 or 3 most common questions from the shorts, because they are repeating. So I will put the link from this show to the shorts because I have to answer almost daily. So first, the question is, which Java version am I using? And maybe you suspect what, right? I would say LTS. And so what means is I'm using Java 21. And actually in all my projects except one, because of we use I'm not in a project directly, but it is based on Red Hat Whitefly version, and this is currently on 17. But in all other projects is Java 21. And in Leisure especially as well. And maybe the first time I will also, in my own project, use Java 22 or 23 in production without being LTS in my not for my client project, rather no, for myself, because I think string templates are really useful. I'm waiting for string templates, and the foreign memory API could be also interesting, because I need more and more, native interactions. So could be also interesting. So we clarified that. Now, which IDE am I using? So I would say the last year, 100%, I think Visual Studio Code. Maybe I started NetBeans from time to time, but what I have to tell you, NetBeans is crazy fast. So if you compare it with Visual Studio Code, you feel the speed of NetBeans, which is remarkable. So you see how fast Swing actually is. But why I'm using Visual Studio Code? Because I'm still using web components a lot, and the support for web components on JavaScript in Visual Studio Code is a lot better. And I'm using plain JavaScript in Visual Studio Code, and I got almost, the TypeScript experience. I don't have any TSC, nothing. It's just plain JavaScript with JSDoc, and it works exceptionally well. So now I have Visual Studio Code. Of course, it is not a plain Visual Studio Code. So I can show you, I have actually 2 configurations. One is a configuration with the Red Hat plugins, or Red Hat, the Microsoft is like combo. So I'm installing the Microsoft language support, and I think Red Hat. If you install that, I think Red Hat is installed, or other ways around. So either you start with the language support for Java from Microsoft, or from Red Hat. Okay, exactly. If you use the extension pack for Java from Microsoft, the Red Hat part is installed, I think, and debugger for Java. So this is more or less one team, which they are working together, Red Hat with Microsoft, and yeah. And as I remember correctly, is the Microsoft extension pack also comes with better unit test support. And if you just install the Red Hat one, you get just the basic Java support. So I have another configuration, and this is the Oracle language server, LSP, language server protocol, LSP, exactly. And it ships with great Java 21 support already. So I have 2 configurations that I can swap between the configurations. So this is this answer to question it takes longer than a short. So this is why I'm doing it here. So now, okay, so this basically what was. The other question is why I am using interfaces and no Java classes as main method. So I get the question every other day. And because if you think about this, so if I run this, right? So you run the class, but it will be never an instance of the class usually, right? So I could, of course, do something like this here. New app, and use it. But this is, I would say, exception that you write code like that, right? Usually, what you will do as soon as possible, instantiate another class, right? So maybe what happens in this class, I'm parsing here parameters. So what I could do is now check whether, I don't know, a parameter here args. I could say I have first to import a stream. And then, ask whether any match an image and say whether the parameter starts, for instance, with dash dash whatever, right? This is like flag f starts with dash dash debug, for instance, and if it is, you know you are in debug mode. So, and this of course can happen in a static method. So this is ugly to do this. So what you usually will do, you could, for instance, extract a method, and this method exactly get debug mode. So this would be a good name for the method, and you have such methods here, and this basically it. So, and then as soon as possible, I will call another class. And because I actually never instantiate a class, it doesn't make any sense to use a class, right? So this is the idea here. So and if there is explained, I started the show, you know, with explaining why I'm using interfaces and not Java classes. And the basic idea is, so if I start a Java class, you know, the Java class, I will never instantiate the Java class, and therefore it doesn't make sense to have a class if you don't have the instance. So what's usually a better idea is, you know, to use an interface. So if you have an interface, you cannot use the app anyway. And by the way, usually to prevent, you know, you say, okay, this is just a gateway or utility. So what you could do, you can write, you know, a private constructor to say, okay, I don't like that someone instantiated a class. So this is the basic idea. But instead of doing this, I could actually say, I'm just an interface, you know, between the user and the machine, human-machine interface. And then remove the app here. And then, of course, I can also remove this because it's always static, always public, not static, and should work the same way, right? So it works, and it is shorter and nicer, and this is why I prefer to use interfaces instead of Java classes. And so this was the 3, you know, most asked questions in 2023 in my shorts. The first one was which Java version I'm using, and Java LTS 21. The next one was which IDE, and this is Visual Studio Code with Microsoft Red Hat or Oracle LSP plugins. And the last one, I got it actually yesterday, the last time, why I'm using interfaces, not Java classes. And I try, you know, to summarize that. Sorry, you will see in the recorded, you know, version the full explanation, but it is, you know, no rocket science for my audience, right? So, okay, cool. So stop now, you know, the IDE. And now the first question is Java good for game development? This is an interesting one. I think it is, but it really depends, you know, what you are using Java for, right? Because if you are using for serious games, I think then you get, you know, the 3D engines like Unity, and they are not written in Java. This is obvious, but Minecraft is written in Java, or was written in Java, now it's rewritten to other languages, but it worked, I would say, exceptionally well, right? So, and the next thing is, if you are speaking, you know, about games, so the question is, what do you like to achieve, right? If you are building a gaming engine, maybe you will have to deal with low-level code, and then your Java will look like C. So the question is it worth to do that, right? Or what can also happen is, if you know what you are exactly doing and you see the abstractions, maybe it would work with Java objects. So you can say, okay, you know, I see here the scene and the stage, and here's the actor, and you could have, you know, it would be a beautiful example of object-oriented programming, a game. Would it be fast enough? This is the question. And I would say for Minecraft it is. For other games, it would be interesting. What I remember at Java 1, I will have to search my... Actually, I remember this right now. Otherwise, I would prepare it. In an older blog post, there was a pure Java game, which was commercially successful, not Minecraft. It looked actually great, and it was announced in Java 1, I would say 10 years ago at least, right? So, and it looked for back then great. So it was not like, you know, it was more visually appealing than Minecraft, of course, but I think it's not like, you know, realistic, right? Okay. So, Alex Nerd, perfect question, Alex. Is also a very good question, and I also wanted, to. So I lost my IDE. You see what I'm doing here? This is my. This is just a shorts ideas I have here. This is never-ending story of shorts. Warmine end interface, and now open it. So this is no more about interface, but because var, and it is okay for code reviews maybe. But why I like vars is because if I write something like date equals, let's say, local date time now. So if we take a look at this, it tells me that this is local date. So I would say, and with Visual Studio Code for code review, I can open it just with code what I did right now. And it understands that usually. So in code review, if I'm curious, I hover above the var. But if I would call it like then it wouldn't pass the code review because it is not clear enough, right? So now it would be, I would say, current date. So if you name it this way, you don't need a type because So I use var everywhere. And I don't have a problem to know what's happening there because then I'm forced to find a better name. So I like vars. Okay, very good. Now, Chad woke up. So I was really curious why you are so quiet. And the problem is the stream was broken. So Benjamin asked me, hi Adam, I think Java ASAP is a good idea, but if I upgrade Java in my Quarkus project, do all dependencies I use also have to be compatible with the new Java? And how can you check? Right. So if I have a Quarkus project, usually I always have a system test, and system test calls Quarkus from outside. So I upgrade Java to the last version and then run the system tests. If they are passing, hopefully it is working, right? And Quarkus ships with extensions. It's not just dependencies rather than extensions. And there are build time extensions. And I would say in most cases, if it's not compatible, they will break at build time already. So I would say, yeah. So just upgrade Java as soon as possible, and you don't have to put it immediately to production. But if it's available, to put it to int environment and see how it is working, right? And by the way, in the larger projects, we started, for instance, in Java 17 before Java 17 was officially available. To write better code, and then it became available, and we could go in production, for instance, right? Fertis asked me, do you like libgdx? No idea what it is. No. Next time, ask the question again. I will look at this. I can explain, give you my feedback, but I never used that. Kriso asked me, Adam, how you store and search for objects when you're not using JPA and using AWS DynamoDB instead? So this is this is my marketing officer, Krizu, because as someone asks something, questions about that, I will point to the new workshops in this summer, but yeah, I don't have time, before. But in this workshop about DynamoDB, we will do exactly that. So the entire day. And by the way, the last workshop in December, I coded, I think, the entire time. So I spent, almost, it worked well. Yeah. But you don't have to wait half a year to get the answer, of course. So how it works. So let me think. So imagine we have our airhacks live workshops, or no airhacks live workshops, airhacks TV, right? And but this may be too simple. But let's say not too simple. So airhacks TV, we have this edition of airhacks TV is the number 118, right? So what I could do is, I in DynamoDB particularly, I have partition key and I have sort key, both has to be unique. So I could use the partition key as an ID for the airhacks 118th, right? So if I search for 100 airhacks 118th, so in JPA, I would get, one object. And in DynamoDB, what I will get is I will get, all viewers in the workshop, the entire chat history of the workshop, plus the transcription and whatever is associated with it. So it means with the sort key, you are filtering, or not filtering, this is because filter is overloaded term in DynamoDB. You are searching with the sort key in the second column, and then you can say in Java, for instance, I'm only interested, in, let's say, in the viewers, and then we will find Krizu, right? But what if I would like to find Krizu, by, I don't know, by name, like, or whatever algorithm you have, right? In this particular case, you will create a global secondary index, GSI, or a local secondary index, LSI, usually GSI. And what happens then, we get, how it's called, reverse keys, right? Reverse key, you know what I mean? The Krizu becomes, the primary key, and the value is whatever I would like to have. So I can then search in. I can create my own index on the fly. That's the idea. So what it means in DynamoDB, you have to know already what you are doing. And if you have SQL databases, you can decide. You can create ad hoc queries in DynamoDB. If you have already a REST interface, then you can usually create a good DynamoDB design. But if you have no idea what you are doing, it's really hard to have queries, because the queries. So yeah, how it is, right? So. Pagination works actually pretty well. So, I mean, pagination works, but it's expensive. So you can just, pagination is built in. So there's not a problem. I wouldn't do this because it's expensive. Benjamin asked me, but you can even use dependencies compiled with an earlier version in Java. Yeah, you could use dependencies, but this should work. I mean, what I'm thinking about dependencies, like you use Java 21 and you use, JDK 1.7 with, I don't know, reflection, or let's say what can happen is you have Java 7 with JSP, which is no more available in Java 21. This is what I'm thinking about. But if you are using an older Java version, it should run perfectly on Java 21. What won't work is that you compile with Java 21 target, you cannot start it on Java 8, but you can run on Java 21, Java 8 code. Very good, thank you. So where are my questions? Okay, is Java good for game development? Oh, Jan Kunzmann, hey. Configure price calculating engine. The rules of price calculation differ from customer to customer and should easily without recompilation. I mean, price calculation engine and without recompilation. So back then I used JavaScript for that. You can still use it with GraalVM. I mean, if it's completely flexible, use GraalVM. It has a polyglot interface. So this would be an option. Otherwise, you will have to build an interpreter or something like this. Or I don't know whether it's still alive. You remember me or something. Bean Shell. You remember Bean Shell? It looks great, like, so lightweight scripting for Java, and it is on GitHub. So now I'm curious. 2 years ago is actually looks not that bad. Oh, last release was 1 year ago, and the contributions. Let's see. But Bean Shell was such a thing. And yeah, it's actually not dead, right? So actually interesting. Someone from South Africa, interesting. So a Bean Shell or something similar could also work, and there are already commercial libraries for pricing calculations. But yeah, this is a very very, how to call it, very generic questions, right? So yeah. Okay, so. Wow, now the chat is really active. my opinion about Lombok is that it becomes less and less appealing in modern Java, because we have Java records. So I don't use Lombok, and I saw some use cases back then, but now I don't. I'm happy without Lombok, but and I see like the data and getters setters, for instance, is no more necessary if you have Java records. So over time, I think Lombok will become less and less appealing, and I never use Lombok because I don't think the problem in Java was I never generated public getters and setters. So and what I see, Lombok is often used to make forgot what's the quality statistics, exactly, the quality statistics happy. So if you're running and quality gateway server, and they require sometimes public constructors. So I saw Lombok just generates blindlessly public constructors to make the servers happy. So yeah, so Benjamin, this is right. So I think hopefully I don't understand you wrong, but you can run in Java 21 older code. You can run in Java 21 code which is compiled with Java 11. They should work. The problem was, but this was not code. It was between Java, I think it was like 8 and 9, because then modules were introduced, and there were lots of projects which had problem with the module system. So this was like, but this is like a long time ago. Of course, ChatGPT in my applications. So I don't know what the question is. How to best learn how to use GPT, or how to use it effectively, right? So I would say I use it mostly, but I would say in 50% of all cases I just completely refactor whatever I see there. But it is why I'm using this, because it's a good for inspiration. So and for me, I would say what ChatGPT means is, if you know what you are doing, ChatGPT is like your personal code generator, which makes you faster. If you have no idea what you are doing, you should not use ChatGPT. So let's say I have almost zero Python experience, so I understand the code, but I have never written a larger application, right? So if I would use ChatGPT with Python, I would hate that, because ChatGPT will generate something for me. It will maybe even work, but I have no idea why. And the first bug I will spend 2 nights. So, but in Java, if ChatGPT generates something, and then I can actually see, okay, this will work or not, good idea or not. So this is like, this is more like a crazy assistant, right? So it should be not like, crazy assistant. So someone, who generates code which sometimes doesn't make any sense. And what I also like, if ChatGPT hallucinates, then, or Copilot or whoever, then, or Tab9, so there are lots of such APIs, hallucinates, it invents actually pretty cool Java methods. And if they are not there, it is a good suggestion to create them. So I would say, and as I would say, you will have to learn to use it, right? But I think it will make interested programmers faster, and how to call it, beginners who believe on ChatGPT will make they will be out of competition, because it is really you cannot manage that, right? So okay. To integrate with your application. Let's see, right? So what I have, you are the stream, that you are a secret group of people. Adam is Adam Assistant. So how to integrate AI best with Java? Let's see. This is why I sometimes need main methods, right? Because there are lots of such tools which are fun. And yeah, now it's problem. You see confidence 8, so it's not very, so, and now you see what it says. Okay, and so this is an example where, you know, Java is fully integrated with the AI. And the challenge is, you know, to teach the AI to output the proper format, right? So that in this particular case, I get JSON and I format it by myself. But yeah, but it is working really well. So I was already, you know, curious about, I already thought about, you know, the calculation. You could also do this with ChatGPT or similar. So this is Claude, is not ChatGPT, but is very similar to ChatGPT 4. And yeah, so how to integrate that? You have to call the thing, right? Teach it that it outputs stuff you can actually parse, and then you can wrap it in Java and you are done. This is basically it, right? And this is just a playground just to test that. But this is a Java program which is fully integrated. So I'm actually, what happened, a Java interface with main method, you know, instantiated a module and called, you know, Claude, waited until it gets the response, and yeah. Okay, so, but, right? Great questions. So Jan, don't use Bean Shell. This is really old project. I didn't, you know, use that for years. So it is museum technology, but it works for you. Before you use Bean Shell, not that you know, I get a project to, you know, to remove Bean Shell from your project. Take a look at GraalVM. This is more serious. GraalVM Polyglot. This is actually, which is really good. And if you go to Polyglot programming Graal, what I will use, you can actually load into Graal Node.js app, a small JavaScript app, and do calculations there, but it will run on bytecode. So I would do this actually, and you can even run it with Quarkus and natively compile everything. So this would be my suggestion first. Yeah. And there was also Project Nashorn, Java Nashorn, and but it was discontinued. But maybe there's another implementation of Nashorn. But this is what I will do, right? So, very good. So now you're on fire. No, before I didn't start the stream. This was my fault, and it was really quiet. It's like, what's going wrong? But now we are in the regular mode, right? AI can generate code, yes, could generate code, but you have to be careful what you are generating, because you know I mean, what you could do with the AI, you can tell the AI if there is calculation, call these Java methods, you know, and use the AI almost like an ESB or like a glue. So this is also working. So the AI can call your methods, Java methods. This is working, right? So, did you hear about OCarry config library? What do you think about that? No, sorry, I never heard about this library, but maybe I cannot remember, I have to say. So, Benjamin asked me, in a Quarkus project, should you use dependencies that don't have a Quarkus extension, or should you avoid them? So you can use dependencies which are not Quarkus extensions, but I will avoid them because they are not optimized, so there's no benefits. So all the Quarkus extensions, you have more or less guaranteed that the entire thing can be natively compiled, and the extensions at build time, they optimize the entire stuff, right? So that's the thing. And Quarkus LangChain4j, yeah, you could use it. It's a very interesting project. What you saw, what I did, this is nothing. It is just, you know me already. This was Java without any dependencies, and yeah, this is where I got some ideas for the shorts. Okay, this is cool thing, and what I will present you just for you, no. I created for fun. This is a fun project, so I can do whatever I like. It belongs to me, right? I created a logger inside an enum. So I have an enum as a logger for a specific reason. It works great. a bit crazy. I will not use it on my clients, but in my leisure, I can do whatever I like, and I will present it in a short. Sending emails with Quarkus, I do this. I just use SMTP, Java Mail Library. So I'm sending actually emails as, you know, the how to call it, registration emails for the workshops. I'm sending via the Java Mail Library in Quarkus without Quarkus dependencies, just plain Java SMTP. Okay, cool. But now, where are my questions? So, thoughts on optional. I use optional a lot. Actually, as return value always, as a parameter almost never. And I misuse sometimes optional, and optional for me is almost like a stream. So if I have an optional, I can say, no, optional map filter, and if optional is empty, nothing happens. If the optional carries a value, then it is alive and something happens. So I would say optionals are great, and I use optionals a lot, right? And not because I'm afraid of null pointer exceptions, because they make my code leaner and more understandable. So this is why I like optionals. And I never had to know the huge problems with null pointer exceptions. I had to know lots of the null pointer exceptions are evil, yeah, maybe, but they are really easy, you know, to find. And with the recent Java, we get a great, you know, you get even better error reporting. So there is not a huge problem with NPEs, but optionals prevent NPEs sometimes, but they have also nice API. Exactly. A very good question, actually, and I was not aware of it. And this was a friend on Discord is a young Java developer, and he also asked some questions. I created some shorts, and then it turned out it's a Minecraft fanboy or fangirl. So I actually don't even know, but and there was an excellent question: though, Paper Engine versus Spigot. And or Spigot, or whatever we said it. So bin shell, so kill the bin shell. This is also covered. And what I look at the paper and the activity, and the project is crazy active, and the project has 8,000 stars, 2,000 forks, which is not bad. And this seems to be a Minecraft clone on Java. I was not aware of the project. And it is very active. It looks nice. It is well done. So great project. And as you can see, you need at least JDK 17. I will advise you then use, you know, Java 21 maybe, if possible. Because why? Because usually, you know, the recent Java comes with better performance. It's not always true, but usually, as general rule, newer Java better performance. And yeah, and you asked me, you know, what I will choose. So I took a look at the Spigot, but I think the Spigot was took down. So wait a sec, there was if we go to here, this one is there, but this one, make a server. This was the mine, or wait a second, where was it? This. One was taken down by DMC. So one of, I think the main project is no more active. And if you ask me, how it looks like, no, just the impression, I would invest more, or if I would invest time as a Java developer to the paper server. This is what I would suggest, right? So this is my opinion, but if you take a look, this looks great. So it is a great project, which I was absolutely not aware of, and is very active. Discord server, everything. So I would say, so this PaperMC, subjective opinion from outside, I never used that, looks better to me than Spigot, and yeah. Okay, we covered this. It was not satisfactory, but yeah, I'm not a Minecraft player, so it's hard to know to give you. Okay, and qualified answer. So now we have, you know, a lots of questions from the time machine. So this is what gathered. very quickly because they are up to date. So how to replace the Java EE principle? And I don't know what the idea was back then or what the question was exactly, but I have the questions right now. We have a principle and we have OpenID Connect, and we would like to have additional scopes or groups in the principle. So how to do that, for instance? Yeah, so it's still current, and MicroProfile JWT, for instance, is already good because instead of using Java EE principle, we can inject the JSON Web Token, which is a kind of principle, right? It represents the user, and usually what happens, the sub SUP or B subject B sub represents the principle. So NP, forget it. I forgot to delete it. So this was Afterburner was my library or is my library, but no time to maintain it. So forget this question. Java EE as movie streaming startup. And this is also current because I'm not using exactly Java EE for movie streaming, but we use, for instance, Quarkus as Lambda a lot. And streaming happens elsewhere. You can use different technologies for streaming because, why we should use, implement this by ourselves. So usually the streaming gateways are outside of, but the entire management still happens with Quarkus. And Quarkus is, I would say, highly compatible with Java EE or Jakarta right now. Also interesting, injection point and producers. So what this is injection point is if you inject something with metadata and then you can, producers is like a factory, and a parameter can be injection point, so you know where you're injecting stuff. It's still up to date. You can still use it with Quarkus after 8 years. Duke script was actually a cool thing where Java generated JavaScript. I actually don't know whether it's still alive. Dukescript.com, but it's a great idea. Yeah, it is. So HTML5 for Java. So check it out. Still interesting. Really interesting project. It was also created co-created by Anton Appel. He was also very active in NetBeans community. Okay. So then ECB. So this pattern I'm still using. Boundary control entity. Always use that. Data model, view model, less important. But what happened is less important in backend, but very important in frontend, because in our Vue projects we just using web components and lit HTML, and in most projects we used web components with Redux and lit HTML almost in all projects. So what it means now, we have actually this view model more or less. We have a unidirectional data flow. So we have a component, and the component changes the state of the model. If the state is changing the model, all views are updated. So this is like a circle, and this works exceptionally well. And it would be, I think it is called Flux, but I think it is view model, I will call it. How to build your custom server? Don't do this, right? Don't be unique snowflake. No dependencies still holds. And this is interesting. Pros and cons of ESB, Enterprise Service Bus. And I have to say, I use Enterprise Service Bus meanwhile, but what I use is the Service Bus on AWS. And what's the name? Is the Service Bus? And I'm confused because you have ESB, AWS, Service Bus, hopefully. EventBridge. Event Bus, not Service Bus. Event Bus is like a subcomponent, and EventBridge is the service. So I use Event Buses, not Service Buses. But the EventBridge and Event Bus are... I was confused with the naming because it overlaps with the old naming. But the EventBridge is almost like an ESB, and I even use event routing, right? So what you can do is you can, for instance, say if someone commits something, an event is generated, and the event can be routed to a pipeline, and you can add on the way, some configuration, inject configuration, and the pipeline starts. If the pipeline is successful, you can do something else, right? Something like this. Or if someone uploads something to a bucket, you can wake up. It happens behind the scenes. An event is automatically created, is put to an event bus. The event bus is mapped to an Quarkus, and it does something with it. So I spend a lot of time with EventBridge, but it's actually like, always existent ESB. The question is why I was against ESBs and now I like EventBridge. And the answer is simple. I don't have to manage, the EventBridge is already there, and I only have to configure the flow. With ESBs back then, I had to do everything by myself, so I never saw, the added value, because if I write a simple Java class, I'm done, right? But in the cloud, events are everywhere. Now we have the unique possibilities, to listen to events. Exactly. Okay, this also forgot to delete this Java fix. Forget Java mission controls for troubleshooting. Still great idea. So if you are running on premise, I think this is one of the unique killer features on premises, to use mission control always on, and gather the events, because you have, you can do something which is really hard to achieve in the cloud. So I would say, if you're on premise, use on-premise features. If you are in the cloud, use cloud features, but don't, try to replicate on-premise experience in the cloud. Doesn't make any sense, and you will pay more, right? So perfect. Also up to date, exposing private JAX-RS and public JAX-RS APIs, because we have to do it all the time. Even Quarkus does it meanwhile, right? They introduced the Q namespace for private APIs, and anything else is public. How it usually works in practice, that the API gateway or a load balancer or something before. So these tools are just routing to the public API, and the private API is never exposed. And also interesting, reactive programming and Java microservice integration. So I would say reactive programming, right, is there, but almost dead. Why? Because we have Project Loom. So Project Loom means, we have millions of threads, and we don't care about specific API. And this service bus, this is why I was so confused with, with event bus, not service bus. And what means is we get that for free, but I mean, if we are in serverless world, the Loom makes less sense, because we are scaling with processes. But if we are on Docker container with lots of CPU, this could make sense. Okay, so the chat is still active here. So we had that. Okay, this Alex Nerd. Okay, Alex Nerd said, okay, you could write a test. Alex Nerd, I think this is the question regarding ChatGPT or AI. Yes, sure, they can write tests, but I'm never satisfied with the tests usually. Maybe, because Shift Command P, generate tests. In Visual Studio Code, I have the stub, and then I think a little bit more about, good asserts, right? And sometimes the AI suggests good asserts, sometimes it doesn't. Code Whisperer, so I tested Code Whisperer, works great. Copilot works great. Tab 9 worked great, but I think they're out of business. And ChatGPT, you need, an own chat window, right? I use Java sockets because in Sigma. So I don't know what Sigma means, but Java sockets. Fertis, this is the friend of the show. He's who initiated the Minecraft. And what I understood, Fertis is at high school right now and already, a great Java developer. So kudos to Fertis. And he says, Spigot and Piper uses Netty under the hood. Very good. Was great in stable projects. Okay, I don't know Spigot, so Paper, but there was one project which was took down. So before. Yeah, you could do this, Chrisu. You could use EventBridge SDK or this API to do that. And not even that, we use EventBridge to send messages or events between AWS accounts. So not inside accounts, between accounts, which is even crazier. My website frontend will, you mean my blog? Yes, I plan to do this. I actually wanted to do this in the pandemic time. It's to 90% done, but I was, the problem were, my clients. Don't tell them. So, perfect. So thoughts on JSPs, JSF, JSPs, and Java. So Yeah, JSF still works great, actually, but I wouldn't start a project in the cloud, because stateful, I know you can make it stateless, but still, it's not that, it is not that popular as it was before, and there's the only valuable, I would say, or only popular implementation is PrimeFaces. And the JSPs, I actually wanted to reactivate JSPs, Java Server Pages, because for me it was a great fast template language. But in Java SE, we get string templates, which are very similar to JSPs. And I would say with that, we will see a new servers, because this is great little templating engine. Okay, now I covered everything from here. So this was the time traveling, and Mr. What's your name? Oh, Zakaria. Ask me. Yeah, he's right. He said I always propagated using the strict isolation level. Yes, if possible, it's serializable. Use that and see what happens. So this was this. If you are happy, everything is very consistent, and yeah, everything will work. And if you have deadlocks, so then you will see where the deadlocks occur, how the exceptions are working, and then you can always lose, the consistency. This was the idea. And do you have examples of scenarios? No, because but usually you have the feeling, right? If you have a table and there are processes which are writing and reading to the table, then it is obvious that you will create, a system test or performance test to exactly do this and try to see the server breaking, right? This is the entire idea. Usually read committed is almost a standard, but if you can use serializable. And now it's a question, how do you normally handle optimistic lock exceptions in your applications? So you could actually, for idempotent interfaces, you could just repeat the entire thing, which is less common, because it's not that common that you have fully idempotent, APIs behind the scenes. So do you immediately retry? You should immediately retry, because the longer you wait, the more the state can change between the scenes. It really depends on the load, right? So if you have 1,000 transactions per second, and you should immediately retry, the question is also depending on the business logic. Do you think that if you retry, it is getting any better, right? And yes, you should return conflict, or sometimes even bad requests can also, but conflict is better. But what you actually should do is, you should, in this particular case, ask the user what to do. Because optimistic lock exception for me is nothing else than GitHub merge conflict, right? It's not like GitHub can resolve it for you. The user have to do it, which is annoying. And my idea of the entire thing is that, how to call it, just, try to involve the business as soon as possible. And on optimistic lock exception conflicts, make a business use cases from it, right? So for instance, in an insurance company, this was my old example. They had optimistic lock exceptions. They were not optimistic lock exception, was the whole system, but it was similar to optimistic lock exception. In the resolution was, after we explained it to the business department, was that instead, of competing on a table in the morning, the data was distributed to the employees, and there was no conflicts. So it was resolved by business. So I would say the only thing, usually what always happens, the first attempt is to try to think about the business logic and resolve, the errors in that way. So cool. So, and I have to learn more about Minecraft from Fertis and the other. What is your monthly salary as a Java backend developer? I have I'm not. I'm a freelancer, so my salary varies a lot of the clients, and mostly, if you see me at conferences or Java user groups, this is completely for free, and so this is what I can tell you. And Benjamin says I missed his last message. This was the last message. There is a Java mail library. Yeah, it is Java XMail. It is Java and either Java XMail or ComSun mail, but the implementation, there's library and implementation, and yeah, there is. Isn't that just a Java EE specification? No, there is an actual mail SMTP implementation. What happened? Ghosts in the system. So if you search for Java X mail reference implementation, and this is even I don't know whether the Java X mail and samples. I think this is this. You have SMTP IMAP POP3, and you will need SMTP. And this is ComSun Mail SMTP package. And yeah, and then you can send emails. So actually, at least I'm sending emails with it, right? So it is working. Okay. So I have to go. Thank you a lot. And next time I will double check the stream. So I will try to stop and start the stream several times. And yeah, and sorry for that. And I would say see you in February. So this already 10% of the year is gone. So the time flies like crazy. Okay, thank you a lot. See you next month. Yeah, and for on AWS I use SES, right? So you can use the SMTP and send over SES, for instance. Thank you a lot. Bye.